The customer is the hero, not your brand. Welcome to another episode of Champion Reads. Champion Reads is where we delve into the best books by the best authors, not just to discuss what those books say, but to apply them to our own lives. We are sponsored by Champion Circle, a group of entrepreneurs and like-minded individuals who meet together to mastermind, accelerate our growth, and grow our lives and businesses better. We are joined today by the special guest, our founder and CEO, chairman of Champion Circle, and all-around nice guy, Mr. John Kovacs Jr., and my co-executive producer for Champion Reads, the wonderful Mr. William Blake. Today, we are diving into Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Building a story brand, this is kind of our last one wrapping it up, but it's all about how we take the ideas of what we do, our product, our service, and turn it into a story that people remember. Because nobody remembers facts and figures. Nobody cares what something does if they can't understand how it applies to them. And I want to start out with just a simple idea here. How do you create a story out of your brand? And I'm going to use an example here of Champion Circle. All of us have worked with Champion Circle and taking these great ideas that Mr. John Kovacs Jr. has put together and built around Champion Circle. And how do we turn that into a story for other people? How do we make that something that they can remember, they can understand? Because no one wants to hear, we're a mastermind group set up to help people accelerate their lives and live better. We want to hear the journey that it takes us on. Joseph Campbell is famous for the hero's journey. How the hero goes out, encounters a challenge, has a mentor, someone helps them overcome it. They achieve greatness. They find the shoe that fits the girl, and they all live happily ever after. Sorry, that's the most common story in the world. So how does that apply to our brand? And I want to start by using literally our brand of Champion Circle right now. And I'm going to start out and say me. I was this poor, shy guy who got invited to join in with a group of people, not really knowing what it was. And as I went there, I began to realize I had some issues with my own confidence that were holding me back. And I wanted things out of life that I just couldn't. I didn't know how to reach them. I didn't dare to take those steps forward. And as I got into that group, I ran into a couple of magical wizards named John and William. And as they began to talk to me, they drew pictures on a board and they taught me how to play some games. And they shared ideas with me and they listened to my ideas. And as we did that, I discovered this magical wand that I could then turn and say, hey, I have confidence. I can stand up here and speak. I can lead a Champion Reads book club. And now I'm living happily ever after. Now, that may not be quite as exciting a story as I was initially thinking. But I want to turn it over to John and William. How do we turn our brand into a story? How do we make it into something that is not an owner's manual or is not a telephone book full of great characters and no plot? How do we get a story out of it? What are your thoughts, guys?
Well, I'll go ahead, Willie. I have a thought that's brewing.
Yeah. I love how really each of us have that story, and how we start it off is putting it into a story and making sure that it has that format that we've been talking about the last couple episodes: the protagonist, antagonist, the challenge, and the guide. But when it comes to the stories that we make transitioning into a brand, it's focusing on that why. When you focus on the why, then it goes from something that we do, that what or the how, and transforms it into the reason why we're doing it. And the reason why we do anything always has a story. So when it comes to our business and brand, figuring out that why, very crucial when making a story.
Oh, I love that. I want to state something that I think is a little bit of the obvious. If you're watching the live feed or the video version of this podcast episode, and I just want you to take a look. You've got, you know, 3 regular Joes who are living their lives, building their businesses, taking care of their families. Okay, clearly in the video, you've got, one of us is in a vehicle, the other is outside, the other is in a fake studio, aka just a home office. And you've got these 3 gentlemen who are clearly showing up to provide information, to give of their thoughts, their hearts, their souls, and share it with other people. And what that really shows is not that we are heroes in a journey that we want you to follow along with, but rather what this shows is that no matter what the circumstances are, whether we live in the swamps like a Yoda, or we live under a rock, yeah, or we're doing things that are sort of hermit like, out of the ordinary. Every great story has a guide, and what we present to you is, no matter what our circumstances are, we show up as guides to help share and provide, educate, and mentor a process that will help you become the hero that you truly are. Because it's not about us. Our business is not about us. Our business is about you. Our business is help giving you the tools and resources that are already inside you. You just need the proper action, discipline, structure, and clarity and belief systems to help you apply those principles in your life and become the person who you've always wanted to become. Yes, that winner. Yes, that podium reacher. Yes, that gold medal winner, whatever it might be. You are the hero in this story. And we are just merely guides to give you that direction, to share that with you. And we have helped countless people over the years, and we have shared so much. I have experience as an accountability coach, helping thousands of professionals achieve their daily and weekly and monthly and 90-day sprint goals. I've got experience teaching the principles of how to think and grow rich. I almost said how to win friends and influence people, because I just finished a book on that. But
We can
merely
do that too.
yeah, merely the same principles. And what this means is that you are the hero in this story, and we are here to give you advice, guidance, and mentorship to help you achieve that. Not just achieve it at any time in your life, but to achieve it at accelerated rates, because that is what you want. You want success tomorrow. You don't want success 10 years from now. You want success today. And we get it. We get how impatient people are. We get it, how things are hurting and they're difficult and they suck in the moment. But we want to help each of you. So thank you for giving me the microphone and opportunity. And I just thought it'd be creative enough to share with you, how busy these 2 individuals and myself are, but yet they're showing up as guides, as mentors, as characters in your story, to give you the direction and clarity that's necessary to overcoming any challenge. Boom, take that.
Yeah, I love that. And okay, you guys hit on the first two crucial points of building a story brand. First of all, like our opening quote, the customer's the hero of the story, not our brand, not us. We're the guide. And as John said, we're just here to show you that way, to begin to show you how to go on that journey. And as William mentioned, the why. And that's kind of what I want to focus on for just a second. As we think about the journey, the why is, what are our customers really looking for? Now, John's just mentioned, Champion Circle, we are about accelerating success. And we're going to take you on that journey and show you how you can do that. Other brands may have a different purpose. So I'm going to think about an automobile for a minute. Its purpose is to get you from point A to point B. That's pretty much it. Some of them have a really fancy paint job, and they have a secondary purpose to help you pick up girls. But the three of us are all married, so we're not going to go to that side of it. But there was a commercial I saw a while ago, and there's a guy who starts out in this big wardrobe room in his house as he puts on his suit, and he picks out from a big stack of cufflinks, and he opens up a drawer, and there's all these beautiful watches, and he puts it on, and he's clearly dressing up for a wonderful evening. And he walks outside, and he opens up his car, and he sits down in this beautifully pointed car, puts his hand on the steering wheel, and smiles. And that was the end of it. Now, the why is not to get from point A to point B. Any car can do that. This commercial created a story of who we all wish we could be, the James Bondish type guy who is so sophisticated and has this glamorous life. So the why in this story, the journey that our brand is going to take someone on, may not be what we actually do. Mercedes gets you from point A to point B, but it lets you do it in a way that you enjoy it. And that's where the journey is. That's the story behind it. It's not that, a Xerox machine makes a copy. It's that you rush over and you hit that button and you pull out the copy and you run down the hall and you hand it to the guy who's giving the sales presentation. And he holds it up to a thunderous applause in the audience as they see that chart and that graph about how great their product is. There's a story there. There's an excitement. There's a journey. It's not, if you push a button, then there's some heat that transfers some black particles onto a piece of paper and it saves you the time of writing it. It's a story. And that's what gets people excited about it. Nobody's excited to read your owner's manual, but they're excited to take your morning slog as you go into your commute at work and you're trying to wake up and you got the extra large coffee from Starbucks and you're just struggling to make it in there and traffic's a pain. But then suddenly your car transforms into this magical world where you're surrounded by experts in business and life, and they're sharing ideas that are going to transform the way you live your life. And suddenly you're in this magical world instead of stuck on the 580 bridge. And that's what Champion Reads can do for you, is transform your life into one of learning. And I've gone too long talking myself. So how do we get that story? How do we find out what is the story of our brand? More than just what we do, what's the story behind it? How do we discover that?
You bring up a great thing with that. Two of my favorite books, Leadership and Self-Deception and the Autonomy of Peace, which is kind of the prequel to it by the Arbinger Institute. Those are some of my favorite stories in self-development to read, simply because you have the principles that you learn in self-development, but it's in a story format. You have this guy, I believe his name is Bob, that goes throughout his company, meets his manager. They go through this whole training course. The next day he meets the CEO and the founder of the company to then help out with that training. And like this whole process that it goes through was fantastic. And then the other one, where is the prequel, it was the founder taking his wife and kid to drop the kid off to military camp and being like, this kid is so much trouble, we're sending him off. They send him off, but then the organizers of the military there brought the parents in for a 2-day seminar, which was the exact thing that he taught Bob on how to think outside of the box, how to be able to focus on other people, and a bunch of other principles that are in there. But it goes to show that when it comes to making a story brand, when it comes to having that story, stories are what we relate to the most, because it's easier for people to relate to the story of myself as a dyslexic who was diagnosed back in first grade and then overcame it to such a degree that he excelled in various areas of reading and speaking, rather than me just going up and say, yeah, I'm a dyslexic coach. Like, that story brings out so much more emphasis and is just that much more important.
Man, I love all of that. And when I think about, creating your story into a brand, again, I think about the long lasting stories that we've covered in the previous episodes, the various stories that stand out. And usually we recognize the name of a story by the experience and the emotions that we've gone through as we've watched it. I'll never forget Jurassic Park, and I'll never forget what feelings and what experience I had while watching that movie. And to this day, it is still one of the top grossing and most successful movies of all time. And when you think about Jurassic Park, you probably think T-Rex or dinosaurs and that. But when you've watched the movie, you realize it's a journey of survival. It's the phrase comes to mind that life always finds a way. And whether you have to fight for it or you have to hide from death to make it happen, you have an experiential relation to that brand. And anytime I see, the dinosaur bones now, I think of Jurassic Park. Anytime I see a raptor or a toy or anything, I think Jurassic Park. And yes, they're a multi-billion-dollar franchise that has sold lots of toys and has made their emblems and their paraphernalia available to so many. But despite that, I mean, that's a brand that's succeeded. Despite all that, it's about how it makes people feel. And so when it comes to, creating a story in your brand, it's thinking about what your business, what your ability does for people. And one of the things we talk about in a lot of our executive meetings is that, what are the testimonials that people share in our meetings? And we had a really cool experience where a gentleman just recently joined our membership, and on a simple just welcome and really it was a sales call, but what the sales call turned into was an opportunity to get to know this individual better and see how our business was a good fit for his life. And just by sitting down with him for maybe 15 minutes, he was already inspired to take action. He was writing down his goals. He was repeating out loud his daily affirmations that he had neglected to do for 10 plus years, and decided that this was now the day that he was going to take a step forward in the right direction into the light of his awesomeness. And all of a sudden, this became a transformational experience for this gentleman. And now, I see a sense of confidence. I see a sense of work and structure and clarity and determination in front of other people. As we are a mastermind group, he has been coming now and is sharing a lot more of his success stories and diving into more of our content and connections. So it's all about creating that experience for people. Now, in the world of marketing, there are all sorts of strategies and techniques you can use to elicit those emotions and those experiences. But is simply put here for this context and conversation, I just wanted to say that, you can start there. Start from the testimonials of those who have experienced your product, your service, your brand. And that is what your brand is. And if you feel like you don't have enough of those, whatever we call them, circumstances, examples, go get more. So there's a place to start and get your story turned into a brand.
I love that. And as you're talking, of course, I'm thinking movies if we go into them. Now, the ultimate storyteller, I think, has got to be Disney. And if you go to Disneyland, they have roller coasters. And not to offend anyone here, but Disneyland probably does not have the most exciting roller coasters in the world. I know Mr. Kovac is a huge roller coaster fan, so you might agree that Disneyland is not the most exciting roller coaster. But what did they do with all of their roller coasters? They put them in a story. You're traveling out to space. You're in the Old West. You're escaping the Yeti on the Matterhorn. There's stories. Sorry, my car was beeping. They put everything into a story. It's not just a roller coaster ride. It's not just to have some twists and turns and ups and downs. You are exploring space. You're on a rocket ship traveling through the stars. That transforms the whole experience from just another roller coaster like everything else. So how do we transform our product, our service, into more than just whatever it is, more than just the daily commute? And there's so many things that we look at in there. As we're, again, going back to movies, sorry. If I say, John, you are my Yoda, everybody in the world knows exactly. There's a whole story built around what that means. William, you are my Samwise Gamgee. Again, we all know what that is. The whole story is built around it. And now our journey is going through for something more than just sitting in front of a camera talking about a book. Now there's more to it. To make it relatable, it's got to come to us individually. Joseph Stalin, who I hate to quote somebody like that with anything, but he made a comment or a quote that when one person dies, it's a tragedy. When 1 million people die, it's a statistic. If we help 1 million people, that's a statistic. McDonald's has their logo over 12 billion or 40 billion, however many served right now. It tells you how good that slogan is, because I don't know what the number is. But they focus instead on the one smiling person taking a bite of a hamburger. That's a story because it's personal. It's relatable to this one individual, me, that's watching that commercial. So let's make it relatable. Let's take it to an individual person. Let's make our brand the journey for that one person that's watching right now, who's going to reach out to their screen and they're going to see this beautiful glowing button that says like. And right next to it is this amazing thing that says subscribe. And when you hit that subscribe button, you are entering this amazing magical world. It's like walking through the back of a wardrobe where you'll be surrounded with centaurs and minotaurs and wizards and gnomes who are there to guide you through and teach you what you have never heard of before. And you will walk away saying, I can build a story brand. I can do it. And you're going to walk into that castle that you have achieved through your efforts with your hands. And it all started with that gentle reaching forward and hitting subscribe. How does that work, guys?
Well done.
Okay, they're all speechless now. But it's a story. It's not a product or a service. That's what we care about, because then it becomes ours. If I read you my mission statement, you will all forget it by the next day. But if I sing you a Beatles song, you'll wish you could forget it when I sing it. But if I play you a Beatles song, the next morning it's going to be stuck in your head because there's something there. You watch a great movie, you think about that. You start looking for parallels in your life to that movie for days afterwards. We still quote movies from the 40s. Play it again, Sam, which is actually not a line in Casablanca, by the way, but it's the most famous line people think is from there. We'll always have Paris. These lines evoke the whole idea because of that story we were so immersed in. And we can recreate that story with our brand by understanding what is it that the customer truly wants that we're giving them. John has founded Champion Circle not to teach people principles of mastermind, but to teach people to take control and transform their lives, to achieve the kind of life they want. So what's the story that people are searching for that we can step in and give them? And I know that's not a good question to leave out in the open for you, but not a rhetorical question. What's people's story?
No, that's a good question to ask. Because when it comes down to it, people's story is their own. They want to be the hero for the most part. They're the ones that want the glory, the victory, I'm thinking of Hercules right now because my daughter watched that last night. Thinking of like at the end after he beats all the giants and the titans to where everyone runs and celebrates, lifts him up in the air, and then, a few things happen, but then he gets the girl and like everything goes great in that cartoon edition. But it's like that hero moment we want at the end. Along the way, we don't really want the challenges to happen as well, because challenges suck and obstacles are hard, but it's through those that make the hero journey worth it. So with Champion Circle, that's a lot what we focus on. It's being able to help the people and the champions to become the legends and the heroes in their own life by accelerating their results, helping them in the challenges that they face right now. Because as we help them in the challenges and as they help us in our challenges, because we are not omit from this wonderful journey that we are taking in our lives, we can then all together reach that hero point at the end where everything is victory. We get the results that we want. And not only that, our desires are more fulfilled and we hit that moment of peace to where that is the ending of our story. And then we can go into series 2 of our story where we go after another goal. Like that hero journey moment, that's what the people want. And that's what Champion Circle helps with.
Boom. Love these statements and these mic drop moments. I want to just add one thing to simplify it for our audience even more, because you guys have done a great job of explaining how to make the story relevant to the customer and how to just make it memorable and even just start designing it based on and surrounding the experience of the client, of the journey of those who go through it. When you're telling your story, there are elements of the brand that can be related to what sticks out at a campfire story. So imagine all of us, you, the listener, and the three of us at just sitting around a campfire late one night, and we're telling stories, and we're shooting from the hip, and we're just talking about some good stuff. And all of a sudden we get into this like storytelling opportunity where each one of us are sharing memorable experiences. And I want to just ask and focus in on that. What makes the story around the campfire memorable? Is it the one that the spooky story and you're like, oh, it creeps me out, I'm not going to be able to sleep at night? Or is it the one where it was so inspirational, or was it so heartfelt and emotional? And it led me to think and believe that this person is, going through a lot? Or was it a humorous story that the joke was so funny, I'm going to tell everyone back at work or back at home? Whatever it might be, just relate yourself to a campfire storytelling session, and what makes those stories so memorable, so powerful. And those are the elements you can use to tell your story and make it memorable. And remember that it isn't about you, it's about what happens and what it makes people feel. And everyone wants a happy ending. Nobody wants a cliffhanger of disappointment. Everybody wants to know what happens next, and they want you to give it to them. And I know that sounds pretty pretentious, because not everyone really wants to hear your story, but you can make your story memorable and make it so that everyone would want to know what happens next. And I think that's just important to realize, and to just kind of dumb it down for all of us to understand, because I need to read things like multiple times. And it goes without saying, but I'll say it. I highly recommend you pick up the book, How to Build a Story Brand by Donald Miller, because it was a very, very exciting and easy read, but it was also an educational experience, a reminder of something that gave me, material to work off of for my story, my business, and, the different stories that I'm trying to tell on a daily basis. And so mastering storytelling is just a powerful, powerful experience, and one that can accelerate your results in business and in life. And I also want to just kind of wrap up today and just say that when it comes to uh, building a brand, okay, that brand should and must always serve others, not yourself. Yes, our business is built off the backs of entrepreneurs who are living the American dream and pursuing greatness. And yes, there are internal ways to do it, but the most creative, the most successful are those who are less self-serving in their message and in their story, and they are more focused on the brilliance that turns you into the hero that you are. And that is one of the secrets of becoming a great storyteller, as well as a brand that lasts. I'll turn the time over back to Ian. Any last words and comments as we wrap today's episode up?
Yeah, I just want to say, great, everyone. I love the comments we've had today, and just that sum up for the whole book. It's building a brand. It's not a product. It's not a service. It's a brand. If I say Lamborghini, you have a whole vision because they built that brand. If I say Walmart, you have another whole vision because they have that brand, slightly different from Lamborghini's. And it's the name alone evokes a whole story in our mind. And that's what we need to do for our customers, is take our product or service, build it into a whole story. So when they hear Champion Circle, they have a vision of not sitting around a table in a mastermind, but of living the life they want, whether it's achieving a certain amount of money, whether it's a certain accomplishment of being on a speaking stage, whether it's holding up or in your hands a book that you just wrote. All of these things that can come about, in this case through Champion Circle. That end result, that feeling the customer is going to have, is the story that we want to push and share with people. And John and I got to wrap up. Do you have any last words, William?
Just the second down on what you said. As you go out and write your own story, and as you go out and write stories for others, just remember that when it's for others, focus on them. And as you do so and you focus on the storyline and that journey, you'll find that it's a lot easier to be able to get customers and clients, and then for yourself to be able to be more committed and resolved for the things that you're doing.
Love that. And that's the old quote we all know, facts tell, stories sell. That's what we need to do. Tell the stories, and the customers will listen and come with us. So I want to thank all of you for listening to this short journey of Champion Reads as we discussed building a story brand by Donald Miller. Am I right on that? My tablet just disappeared. See, I know the story. It's not the facts that stick in my mind. It's the stories that he did. And he's done a great job of explaining that and why that's the key. If we want to attract customers and keep customers and grow our business, it's got to be through the stories that we share. So I want to give a last question or request for our listeners out there that if you've enjoyed this, if you've learned something from this, if you want to join us on our hero's journey through more books and more treasures and nuggets of wisdom and applicable insights from the best books by the best authors, reach out to that magical subscribe button and touch that, and you will be rewarded with that perfect, John. If those of you on video can see John reaching for it. You'll enter a world of pure imagination. Actually, no, it's not pure imagination. It's a world of facts, a world of stories that will move us forward. If you would like to know more about us, you can visit mychampionscircle.com to find out about all the products and services that Champion Circle has to offer in addition to Champion Reads. If you have questions or want to contact us directly, please email to info@mychampionscircle.com, and we will be happy to read what you have to say and incorporate you into our story as well, and bring you as not just a walk-on character, but maybe even a sidekick for us at some point as we go through this magical hero's journey. So again, thank you very much. Encourage you to click like and subscribe and visit us on social media. We are found pretty much everywhere at mychampionscircle. Or actually at My Champion Circle is our name, or mychampionscircle.com. Thank you and have a wonderful journey through the rest of the week.